Hello and namaste. This is Tim Halloran. I'm an astrologer here in Savannah, Georgia, and this is a weekly astrological forecast. I put these videos on YouTube once a week, and you can help support future videos by purchasing a reading from me at the link below. So it's the 16th of December. There is a hell of a lot going on. This is a highly transformative time. This is an incredibly intense time, to put it lightly. And we have our winter solstice in just 5 days. This period of setting new intentions for the next year. So we can sort of say that 2014 is going out with a bang. There are open doors and there is incredible potential for a change at this time. Okay, and I prefer to talk about the meaning, the essence of what is going on, which I think is essentially more important than knowing about the little astrological bits. Okay, but we will begin by discussing the astrology because there certainly is a whole lot happening in the heavens. So what's going on is yesterday we had our exact Uranus square to Pluto. And Uranus is now slowing to a station. And on the day of the winter solstice, Uranus will turn direct. On the day of the winter solstice, we have the sun moving into Capricorn, followed by the moon moving into Capricorn. And we have a new moon in Capricorn, 0 degrees, on the day of the solstice at exactly 8:36 p.m. Eastern Time. On top of all this, we have Saturn in a critical degree of Scorpio. And Saturn is going to move from Scorpio into Sagittarius come December 23rd. So what we can notice and what we can certainly feel these couple weeks is there is a whole lot happening in a very short amount of time. There is a lot of culminating energy from the past that is getting brought up, reviewed, potentially dispelled, and we are moving forward. This is a time of shape-shifting. This is a time of transforming. This is a time of evolution. So yesterday we had our Uranus square to Pluto, exact 0 degrees, 0 minutes. Uranus is this planet of electrical, shocking, evolutionary intent. He wants to evolve, he wants to expand, he wants to express. Uranus is very eccentric, quirky, weird, out there, ahead of its time. And it is in a square to Pluto. Pluto being the absolute bottom, root, foundation, the deep unconscious, the soul desire. Pluto also rules the root chakra. So this Uranus square to Pluto, and this has been going on for the last 2 years, and there's going to be one more square in 2015, this is the evolution, the transformation, the transmutation of our foundation, of our root, our soul level, is what is being transformed, reviewed, understood, and evolved. We are expanding. This universe is always expanding. This universe is always moving forward. It is always growing. We are always learning. So although we may think that we know the best about ourselves and we even know who we are in a deep part of ourselves, we are always continuously getting to know the deeper part of ourselves better and better throughout time. There is no stopping point of the learning, the growing, the understanding that we have not only towards our universe but also towards ourself. What is happening simultaneously with this Uranus square to Pluto is Saturn being in the critical degree of Scorpio, is reviewing the last 2.5 years of being in Scorpio. And Saturn has this personality, this presence, okay, that is very cold, mature, kind of mean, kind of, it's just serious. It's serious business when it comes to Saturn. He is time, he is work. So he has this persona of being kind of, intense and cold and in charge and authoritative and all these things. For the last 2.5 years, he has been in Scorpio. Scorpio being ruled by Pluto is again the root chakra. The deep unconscious self is what Saturn has been focused intently on. Stuff that we don't want to look at, stuff that is messy, complicated. It starts bleeding through all of these predefined conditionings of what society expects us, and we start looking at ourselves and we start realizing there is a hell of a lot more in me that is being exposed on the outside, that even is really known about in contemporary society. I'm discovering my own unique quirks, my own phobias, my fears, my blockages, my repressions. All of these things are in Scorpio. Scorpio is this highly transformative and intense point of singularity where all these things kind of mesh, and it's just very, very complicated. And Saturn has been there, focusing, looking at it, digging it up, not giving us a choice, making us look at it, see it for what it is, get down to business and do it. And now Saturn is wrapping up this period, which means that the last 2.5 years are coming up for review. And it's coming up very quickly. And we're suddenly realizing the immensity of what we've been doing, because it is culminating into a transformation. As Saturn moves into Sagittarius, that cold, intense look down into the stuff, into the shit, into the karmic relationships and the complicated relationships and the stuff I should have done but I didn't, and the hurt feelings and all that. And suddenly there is a breaking point, there is a realization. And fundamentally what this realization is going to be is that all the stuff down there in the unconscious, in the very weird parts of ourselves, behind where we usually are focused, it's very behind our ego. This ego identity is what's operating on the surface. And this accounts for a very small part of who we are, the tip of the iceberg. And so what's going on collectively right now is that the iceberg is being exposed on a much deeper level. The whole world is going through this process of understanding that we are far more deep, far more complicated, far more beautiful, far more expansive, far more enlightened, far more in touch than we ever believed. And so Saturn is reaching this critical point where Saturn is going to wrap up and conclude this solid look down. And this wrap up can be through the integration of all this stuff up. As Saturn moves from Scorpio down the root chakra to Sagittarius, the crown chakra, the third eye, there is suddenly this movement where the focusing principle of Saturn looks up, and now it's okay, why is all this stuff here, What am I going to do? How would you like me to move through this stuff? We have been digging it all up. It is now apparent. We are hopefully not escaping anymore. We are hopefully being authentic and sincere with 100% of ourselves, not trying to sweep anything under the rug, keep secrets from our partners, etc., etc. The Saturn has about removing those blockages, those fears, those phobias, those distrusts, that I can't open up my full capacity. Otherwise, I'm going to get judged. My lover won't love me anymore. I'll get kicked out of my house. So we hopefully go through this process of making it all real and apparent, and we communicate it, and then what happens is we get feedback. And the feedback says, you know what? We are all a human race that is expanding during this time, and we are all becoming aware of our unconscious together. We are all much more complicated, much more messy, much more big, much more connected, much more intimate, much more sensitive than we admit to ourselves. So we are doing this together. So hopefully we get some reaffirmation into this, and we begin to integrate it into our being, in which case we move on to the next step, which is, how is this? What am I doing with this? What is the purpose of this? What is the highest meaning within this? There is meaning, there is purpose within every single tiny little quirk, personality thing, fetish, whatever it is. There is a meaning, there is a purpose that is connected to something bigger, something more important, something more relevant to the soul's journey and what all of these souls are doing here together as we journey towards this collective realization of who we are. So it is very interesting because I've been thinking this week, where in the astrology is it truly suggesting this highly transformative time that is very apparent? You look into the world, this is a very fast-paced time. Just look at the last 100 years and compare that to the last thousands of years, and you see it very apparently. What astrologically is going on? And some would say, in 2012, the solar system was aligned with the galactic central sun and all of these things. Yes, there's the Uranus square, Pluto and all these things. And this is, very much a telling of the story. But what I was thinking about is what is actually going on is that we are just expanding. We are discovering more to the universe. We are discovering what astrology even is. We can't look at astrology and know exactly what transformation is happening because of the planetary alignments, what signs they're in, what aspects they have to one another, because we are still discovering the universe that we live in. We're still discovering what astrology is. We're still discovering new planets. It was only in the last 300 years that we discovered Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Chiron, these asteroids and all of these things. And think about how huge that is that we are making these discoveries, because what do these planets represent and embody? Uranus is the electrical revolutionary force. It was discovered around the same time as electricity was invented. It is technology. Since Uranus's discovery, technology has exploded. Now we have the internet, all of these things. Then we discovered Neptune. Neptune is unconditional love. It is God himself existing in this solar system. He is the spontaneous singing of song, and it is what every single religion and every single heart sings to. And then we discovered Pluto. Pluto being the deep, unconscious, messy soul desire. You are a whole lot more than you think you are. Everything exists in your unconscious. There is the collective unconscious that connects all of us. This is an incredible time of realizing all of these different pieces that were not here in the past. We did not know, we did not have the defined understanding of these different fragments of self. And there is going to be collective realizations that happen as we incorporate these parts into our own being. And this is the work that we are doing now. As spiritual aspirants, as being incarnate on this planet right now. And this is the thing to keep in mind these next couple weeks. Because I'm going to give this kind of suggestion that may generally maybe not always be appreciated or understood, which is expect the worst. Anticipate the worst. And so many people are going to say, that's horrible. That's like putting negativity out there. That's like paranoia and all this. And no, it's not paranoia. It's not fearful. Because preparing for the worst and being afraid of the worst are completely different. And if you are preparing for the worst, isn't that going to help you be less afraid of the worst? So in this highly transformative time, and what's going on is, Uranus and Pluto is very unpredictable, very shocking. Things do not go as planned. Things are changing around very quickly and spontaneously. So just don't anticipate anything to go to plan. That is called being flexible. And also understand that all of the transformation that is happening now, despite how rigid, cold, mean it may seem on the surface these next few weeks, anticipate it to seem that way. Anticipate this to be a kind of brutal time on the surface. And this is another nice little distinction. This time period is the most enjoyable period for the soul, because this is like a highly fast-paced roller coaster ride. This Uranus-Pluto square is like the energy is like this. Up and down, up and down, up and down. You feel like you are king of the world. You feel like you're incorporating this whole new level of self-realization and spirituality and confidence and happiness that you have never tasted. And it tastes like heaven. And we are just like, yeah, this is it. I am there. And then the next minute, you are face down in the mud. You are looking at all the fears, all of the old stuff erupts, and it is like, I am back in hell. And this is why this is the most opportune time, as well as the most enjoyable time for the soul, because this is the time where we can see the full spectrum. So apparently, so crystal clear is the full spectrum of where we are coming from and where we are going to. This is the time to see all of it and understand the meaning within it. Not that it is just a roller coaster ride and it is bad when we're at the bottom and it's good when we're at the top. There is a meaning, there is a message that is encoded in this movement up and down, the full spectrum. Because there is a tremendous opportunity at being able to see this spectrum. This is what souls desire to see, is the full spectrum. Souls don't just want to be in heaven eating ice cream forever. This is boring. And souls don't want to be in hell where they're so uncomfortable that they can't do anything. In both places, not a lot gets done because the senses are overloaded, either positively or negatively, but it doesn't matter because nothing is getting done. What are we doing. It is about evolving. It is about expanding. It is about the eternally upward, spiraling, evolutionary truth that is love. And it is here in the middle, in between heaven and hell, on this planet, in this earth, during this period in time, where everything is transforming and we can see the full spectrum of where we're coming from and where we're going, that we can see the meaning of all of this. We can see the upward spiral. We can see it clearly. And we can understand that all of these experiences, these painful, distressing, scary experiences of the past are a part. They are integrated into what we are learning, what we are becoming, what we are aspiring to be, which is not painful, which is not distressful. So the distressfulness of the past is a part of this story that is inherently beautiful, and we must embrace all of it. So, out of our unconsciousness seeps all of these past lives, these childhood experiences, these traumas, and we are taking a clean look at it, and we are seeing what it is serving. How is this going to now transform? These old phobias, these old fears, these old judgments, these old skewed, limiting perspectives of how we view ourselves and the world is now changing. And they're not going to just disappear. They're going to transmute into something else. And as it transmutes into something else, we will see the purpose of those fears, the purpose of those insecurities. All of that stuff makes sense now. It is not simply that we are lost in a world and we don't know who we are. This is where we've been for a long time. This is a world that has a collective unconscious that is unconscious of the collective unconscious. And for those of us that are energetic beings, I mean, we can feel the intensity of this time right now. We can feel the energy of other people. You can feel the unconscious of other people. You can feel the stuff in them that they are not aware of. And if you are an energetically sensitive being, this is extremely distressful. Up until now, up until the point that you understand what is actually going on. You're not just showing up in a group of people and I feel like absolute shit. I feel like I can't talk. I feel intimidated. I just feel all this stuff. I want to go home and be alone. Because we are overloaded with the unconscious of other people. But this unconsciousness that we are feeling is going to be a part of our joy, of our journey. Now we get to see, oh, I am being tuned into the collective unconsciousness because that's why I came here. This is the work I have to do, to tune into the collective unconscious and make myself and the rest of the world aware of what we have previously been limited from seeing clearly. And as we do this, everything is transforming. We discussed about the discovery of all these planets that mean these very significant things. We've also discovered these major asteroids, Ceres, Vesta, Pallas, Juno. Okay, and these may be even more relevant at this particular time because these asteroids are closer to Earth. They are part of the more surface level integrated aspect of reality. The asteroids have to do with our relationships to one another, our intimacy, and our connection to the divine feminine. And this is the major thing that is probably most relevant at this time as we are reinstating feminine energy in ourselves and the collective at this time. Which means that we have to look at these fears, these pains, these wounds, these traumas of the past, and now we understand why it has been this way. Why has it been this way? Because of the repression of the feminine energy. Man or woman, you have feminine energy within you. It is part of your nurturing, loving, compassionate, soft, submissive, penetrative nature. And this is the nature that we have forgotten about for thousands of years. So many things have resulted because of this cause. So, let us see all these pains of the past, and you know what? Ride the train up and down, up and down, up and down. When you're at the bottom, look at it clearly. Surrender to it. Yeah, it's going to be really painful. It's going to really suck. Things may not go according to plan. The way your ego constructed your identity may not be accurate to how you actually are, and this can be shocking, this can be distressful. And of course, this is all playing out on the collective level as well. We have realizations about governments, money systems, society, world organizations, all these things going on as well. But let's look at ourselves, particularly during this time. Yes, the outer world may appear to be a mad, chaotic, chemical explosion, but let's focus on within, because we really need to harness this energy within ourselves. We will get lost if we focus too much on the outside world before we focus and heal ourselves. So look at your own unconsciousness, dive into it, heal it, look at your own fears, your own paranoias, and transmute it by seeing the meaning, seeing what was missing, and then we incorporate it. We realize that these quirks, these individual things that don't fit the societal expectations are still very well okay. In fact, they are necessary for us to bring these to the surface because that is how we will transform the societal expectations, the gender roles, all of these severely limiting, the religious dogma, the wars, all of these things are resulting from fundamental misunderstanding of who we are. So figure out who you are. Change around. Change your desire system. Change your value system. Change your relationships. Yes, this weekend Venus is going to conjunct Pluto and square Uranus the day before the solstice. So this is a very action-full weekend. And this Venus can be, stuff getting stirred up, relationships beginning and ending, transformations in relationships. But the key thing to understand with this is that, in our intimate relationships, particularly our partners, these are the most crucial parts of our transformation. Because the essential meaning and role of being in a romantic relationship, we'll say, is not simply to be each other's mommies and daddies and to nurture and pamper one another and to hold each other's hands all the way through life. Yes, that's a part of it and that's nice. But even deeper than this, on the soul level, where we've known each other eternally and have so many different roles in the past, we are helping each other wake up. We are helping each other become aware of our unconscious nature. And this can create this back and forth tension, polarity. There can be heads banging together because it can be painful to witness one another's fears, guilt, paranoias. We can bring up one another's fears, guilts, paranoias, the pain of the past, the wounds of the past. But it is necessary to do this. This is the actual transformation that is taking place. Yeah, pain means that transformation is happening. When your arm hurts, that's actually because you bruised your arm and now it is healing. So this happens a lot in relationships as well, and we need to embrace this. And again, maybe anticipate for the worst. That way we don't get smashed over the head by anything that, takes us by shock and then we go down. This could be the real negative potential during this time, is to just take an unexpected hit and just go all the way down. And unfortunately, we're going to see some people do this during this time. They're going to take a shock and just go all the way down. Winter Solstice is Capricorn time. Winter Solstice is the northern hemisphere, the longest night of the year. Yes, this is a time to be hopeless sometimes, And again, when we're doing the roller coaster up and down, and when you're down and when you're feeling hopeless, first of all, do not feel guilty for feeling hopeless. Don't feel like you're doing anything wrong because you're feeling hopeless. These feelings of hopelessness is a part of the necessary transformation and awakening of your soul. So allow yourself to feel hopelessness, but we have to embrace this hopelessness in the means of what this hopelessness is truly trying to bring us to. Is we want to manifest this tangibly in three-dimensional form. We want this to actually exist in our physical world. And so this hopelessness oftentimes comes out of the fact that it's not practical, it's not real, it's not happening. I was misled. I was disillusioned, and that's what this hopelessness is. It's taking us back into I was wrong, I was mistaken, I was disillusioned. But let's embrace the fact that this is actually taking us to the place of practically, functionally establishing our highest dreams and aspirations into three-dimensional form. So if we take some crushing blows and we have to, our ego gets a little poked here and there, this is happening because our soul wants us to be free. Our soul wants us to actually express all of ourself, 100% of ourself. Our soul wants to express in our actual life. That means no more just fantasizing about my spiritual nature. This is who I want to be. This is my dream. This is going to be my career. Even this is my gender role. This is my fetish. It doesn't matter as long as it's out there in fantasy world and not being tangibly anchored into this world. It's not really benefiting yourself or anybody. The purpose of this lifetime is to anchor it in. That's what this world needs. We need to anchor this energy in. This is how healing takes place, through allowing it to come out, to flow out of you. This is a week to be as flowing as possible. Follow your instinct, follow your gut, follow your intuition, follow your heart. Go with the flow. Don't expect anything to go to plan. See where spirit carries you. Because where spirit could very well carry you is into the practical, functional establishment of your highest dreams, goals, and ambitions. This is a time to make it real. This is a time to be who you've always dreamt you could be, and not to wait anymore. See, this is a time to review these fears and these phobias and these insecurities one last time to see what they are. And they are nothing but fears, phobias, insecurities. Yes, they have a good reason. They're not nonsensical. They have a reason that we're looking into, and we are bringing into the new part of ourself that is going to have greater purpose and understanding of why we had these fears and phobias. But these fears and phobias are preventing simultaneously this from happening. We just have to plow through it. Don't be afraid of doing it anymore. Just do it. As soon as you do it, you won't be afraid of doing it anymore. But if you sit in being afraid of doing it, you can sit there forever and you can become frozen solid. And the reason we're going through this transformation right now is to get that kinetic energy, to get that warmth, that nurturance, that compassion flowing outward into our physical structure. That way we are tangible beacons of this. That way we can transmute it to other people. Therefore, people who are frozen solid into fear, we can reach out to and provide warmth to their frozen rigidity. And this is a time where we will see frozen people, and this is a time to offer guidance to them. This is a time to remind people of their deepest soul nature. This is a time to remind people that who they are is more than they thought that they were, because this is a time of clearly seeing the meaning and the purpose and the beauty of this particular time period and this particular human incarnation. So let it be powerful, beautiful, and extraordinarily productive on a level that we didn't even know productivity could take place on. The productivity of actually evolving our consciousness. And once we evolve our consciousness, everything is different than it ever was before. We see this world in a light that we have never seen it before. We taste new things that we've never tasted. And there is nothing more exciting than this. So don't let the fear and the paranoia and the anti-faith drag you down too much to the point where you can't ride up the next hill. The soul enjoys this massive vibration because the entire spectrum is available and apparent to us. And through seeing this spectrum, we discover the passion, we discover the actual evolutionary intent. This going up and down and up and down and up and down is actually a kinetic energy that is going to push us onto the next level. Okay? So let us go there together, and I am wishing you and all of yours the very best in this movement. A quick plug I gotta do is that we're having a sale up until the 21st. All right, so next couple days we're having 15% off on our Etsy store. All of our services that are available off of our website can also be purchased through Etsy, and you can get 15% off through entering the coupon code below. Rasalila Holiday Sale 1. Okay, you enter that in at the checkout, and we can take a look at your birth chart. We can look at the transits. We can see how this Uranus turning direct, Jupiter turning retrograde, Pluto square to Uranus. We also had Mercury move into Capricorn today. I mean, there's just so much astrologically going on that we can talk about. The point is to know the meaning and the purpose behind it. That way we can harness this momentum and truly get on with it. And this is the function, this is the purpose of astrology, and this is what we can talk about through a reading. So let's keep on keeping on and see what unfolds. Much love. Namaste.